Good morning! This is Chessie with Healthy Hearts and Guillotines. I'm here with
Zakim.
And we're back this week. I think that we may have chosen this episode because we're both having a difficult week.
Every week.
Every week. All the weeks.
Because one thing doesn't change.
It's 2026 and we're still under capitalism for some reason. This week we're doing the logistics of evil.
Part 1. How do we become capable of evil? Justification.
So there's a quote from the Nuremberg trials from Captain G.M. Gilbert. And he says, evil, I think, is the absence of empathy. Knowing what we know about the various deeply evil people who have been putting shocking sums of money into convincing very gullible people that empathy is literally of the devil. That sounds right.
No one gets paid for empathy anymore, so...
And that's wrong and bad. So the problem I think we're faced with is that we now have a bunch of profit motives that don't align with good at all. They just align with being some kind of supervillain. So how about do people put into positions of power justify doing all this crap?
Well, number one is there's a very big survivorship bias, because if you want to be in a position of power, you have to do things other people won't.
Right.
Usually this comes down to abusing morals, abusing rules, completely sidestepping all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people be like, I'm not going to sell my grandmother just so I can be the president. And someone else will be like, oh yeah, goodbye grandma.
Goodbye, Gran.
Goodbye grandma, goodbye kids, goodbye starving Africa children in the lithium mines. I don't give a damn. I'm president. And for some people, that's too big of a price. And those people are the ones who get left behind in the capitalist race. And then they naturally die out.
Or become just everybody who isn't president of the United States and or one of these ultra-powerful pedophiles. What is it about getting piles of money that makes people go and do that?
It's about infinitely growing something, because honestly, there's nothing we can infinitely grow at, the same rate. And I think it's something to do with the freaking dopamine in our brains. Like, hey, let's say you're an average student, like you get a 6, eventually you can get a 7, a 9, but you're capped at a 10. There's no more than a 10.
Can't get more than 10. This thing with the people who seem to feel like they've found some kind of infinite money glitch in the world, there's a thing that happens in video games, which is you get to the end game content where you can kill anything and do anything in the game.
And you're bored.
Yeah, suddenly the game stops being interesting. I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 recently, and I hit the level cap, which is level 12. And I'm like sort of wandering around doing all the main character's quests and so on. But my motivation to play the game has just gone to nothing. I have to imagine that the people who have reached this apex of capitalism where they just point to stuff and own it are in a similar state. We are in a Grand Theft Auto sandbox for these people, and we're the NPCs and people walking on the street.
I mean, they run us over. It's like, I'll pay a few thousand, million, I don't care.
Million, yeah, literally. If this is a thing that I've heard a lot in recent years, is if the punishment for a crime is a fine, then crimes are unpunished by those with enough money. Which kind of makes me love that Norwegian system for tax or for traffic tickets, where how much your traffic ticket is based on how much money you have. That's a great idea.
Great idea. Also parking tickets.
Oh, yeah. Just it's gotta hurt for it to actually shift someone's behavior. I think that the logistics of evil are all about getting to a place where you just don't feel other people's pain anymore.
You don't feel any pain. You don't feel the system's punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I've written,
I love the notes, by the way. These are very helpful.
If you're Nestle and you just poison water in order to sell your own water and you get fined a few million, you're okay with that because you made a few billion.
You made a few, yeah, God.
It's like, I murdered people and they asked me to pay money. I mean, okay, I made more money than you're asking me. I'm not sure what the punishment is here.
Yeah, if the fine is less than the amount of money you made for breaking the law, and this has been said by smarter people than me, then breaking the law and getting fined for it is just the cost of doing business.
Cost of doing business. And the business is a single metric, which is
profit.
Which means at any cost.
Yes.
And that's the thing. It's a race to the moral bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, today, let's say I abuse human rights. Tomorrow, someone's going to outdo me and be like, you know what? Human rights, wait, for human rights, you need to have humans. Gonna get rid of those ones.
Gotta get rid of those. And at some point, it's, okay, we're literally grinding people for, grinding up human beings for dollars. Like, that's sort of the logical conclusion of all of this is...
I mean, the logical conclusion is the Earth is a ball of fire and Elon Musk is going to Mars. Like, hey, don't worry, guys. I'll save Mars.
That's the outcome, certainly. Again, a very smart person said this the other day. The outcome of all these different powerful political entities shoving money sort of against the idea of fundamental freedoms is just going back to slavery. Like, that's the goal, is they keep humans for things that they can amuse themselves with. Mm-hmm. We are there for entertainment and for clout. And that's the goal.
And I guess now that every single job is soul grindingly numb and everyone's trying to become their own entrepreneur, which is freedom in the capitalist system, even though
it's never freedom.
It's the illusion of freedom. It's like, hey, you can earn as much as you want if you work for yourself.
Mm-hmm. But you're still going to be expected to pay rent to a landlord, rent to your rent to like a long list of rent seekers.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in the United States, which is where I'm from, this is substantially worse. But it's not great over here either.
It's better, but I mean, the whole world is basically suffering unless you're on an uninhabited island just fishing, and that's it.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, you've got the results of other people's terrible behavior washing up on your shores.
You're hunting for tuna, and you come up and it's like bottles and bottles of plastic. It's like,
Yeah, when you cut open a fish and the fish is mostly plastic, that's not a great sign for how, we're sort of supposed to live in a connected world. I'm constantly fascinated by watching the super rich get on a podcast and talk about what they believe and what they think. Because the rest of us end up hearing about it inevitably. Because holy crap, it's weird.
It is weird.
It's crazy shit. The example that's popping into my head is Sam Altman, who, that guy's a freak. Or, no, it wasn't Sam Altman, Peter Thiel. It was Peter Thiel being unable to say that he wanted humans to still exist. That was wild.
At least someone still has, a difficult time lying.
Yeah, but I mean, like, all he had to do was get on the podcast and say, oh yeah, humans are great. That was all that was required. I love humans. Humans are excellent. And then he gets up there, someone puts the mic in front of him and says, do you support the genocide of your own species? And he goes,
Maybe he does.
That wasn't a difficult question.
Not for someone who has a little bit of morals left.
An iota of morality.
And that's the thing, because when profit is all that matters, morals get left behind, because the planet's destroyed, but you can buy a small land island somewhere and just enjoy life. You buy everything you need, you torture human beings, you reinvent slavery so you can have the nice things.
Yeah.
And you don't care that the whole planet's on fire.
The constant reinvention of old stuff that was bad it's really impressive. Like, have you heard of Klarna?
I have.
Do you know what Klarna is?
Pay in installments, basically.
It's a pay later app. It's basically an app where it doesn't work with normal credit reporting rules. And so all the things that would normally get it accused of usury, which is to say illegal credit traps, just don't apply. So people charge up insane amounts of money using Klarna, and then the payments roll over, but they don't get reported to credit agencies, so you're not building your credit at all. And then you have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, and they bundle it up and sell it to investors.
So, reinventing the housing crisis.
Reinventing the housing crisis and reinventing slavery. It just has an app attached to it now.
Welcome to 2026. You're suffering now as an app.
When I heard about this, I admit I almost had a stroke. I was like, are you joking?
So, let's say we're in capitalism, which we are sadly, and your competition is creating monopolies, abusing human rights, destroying ecologies. Your only choice is either stepping down and being a slave, or trying to outdo them.
Trying to become more evil and capitalistic.
Because capitalism is about competition, which is supposed to be somehow a good thing. Infinite competition.
Yeah, I think there's some Darwinist thing of like, if we compete hard enough, someone will become the apex predator of capitalism, and they get to survive while everybody else dies.
Emotionally or physically.
That's not how ecology works.
No. So, when someone gets rich at your expense, or everyone's expense in the case of the ultra-rich, you're told what?
That they were a moral and hard-working person.
Yeah, and you're jealous because...
Yes, envy.
Because you're not that person, because you want to be that person. So instead of sending that vile wretch to the guillotine, you're like, be like them.
I liked vile wretch. That was a good way to put that.
Thank you. So the system just brainwashes you to think that everything that bad happens to you is because you're just not rich enough.
You're just not rich enough, and you just didn't work hard enough.
Didn't work hard enough is a synonym for loopholes, lobbying, creating friend groups that create virtual monopolies, but not real monopolies, because those are banned.
And then inheriting wealth. Like that's the other thing, is it's a synonym for I got my money from mommy and daddy, and therefore I'm a hard worker.
I mean, there's a completely different issue about how parents give their values to their children, or lack thereof. No one really expects the son of a mass murderer to be like, I'm going to church every weekend.
I mean, I remember a time not that long ago, where people would very publicly defend Elon Musk's intelligence and creativity in purchasing Tesla. And then, like, he was all, people were like, incidentally, his family owned an emerald mine in apartheid South Africa. And then he was like, that never happened. And then his own dad was like, oh yeah, we totally had an emerald mine.
You see, because the thing is, the dad doesn't understand that he's his son is more evil than him. So
Yeah.
So that's like, oh yeah, I'm okay with my evil. And the son's like, no, I'm not evil. I'm good.
I'm good. Although he has given that up in recent years.
The thing is, when you just become evil enough, it's very obvious because, like you said, it's the end game of a video game. And like, nothing's gonna stop me.
And apparently, seemingly nothing did. He goes out on stage and throws a couple of Sig Heils, and then nothing happens.
I mean,
He's still the CEO of Tesla.
as long as he appeases the shareholders, which are as evil as him.
Yeah, and the most or second most overvalued company on earth? Like, there's Tesla and then Nvidia. This is not investment advice.
Maybe like contrary. Reverse investment advice.
Yeah, reverse investment advice. Save your soul, sell your shares.
I want that on a t-shirt.
Yes, our first piece of actual merch, we're getting that. Well, that's going to be in our store at some point in the next few weeks. Save your soul, sell your shares.
Because capitalism at one point was about, hey, you're going to get the best product for the best price.
Yeah, it was about distributing. I mean, it's economics. It's about distributing resources.
And you thought that people will buy what they need and not buy what they don't need. But we forgot about brainwashing. And now people want to buy stuff they don't need just to exist in the system that is toxic to them.
Yeah, now we've optimized brainwashing.
Next episode, looks maxing.
Oh my God, are we doing looks maxing?
Next.
Oh, I can't wait. That one's gonna be good.
Back to the topic. When you enter, let's say, the system and you think, I'm gonna fix it, you know what happens?
I mean, you get corrupted by it.
You either, well, unalive yourself because you realize that the whole system's ruined and anyone who enters it gets ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're like, actually, you see, I'm going to be doing good with the evil.
And I have seen so many people try to do that. It does not work.
It's like saying, hey, I know everyone else who tried this got corrupted, but I'm different. I'm built different.
It takes so much ego to say I'm built different.
But it's so common.
It really is. I had a mate who I told him, don't go join the army in 2005. And he went and joined the army in 2005. I hooked back up with him about 15 years later. He was like, do you remember that conversation? Yeah. I have the PTSD now. And I went really, really, really far left. And I'm really, really, really anti-military. I was like, you told me you were going to fix things from the inside. And his response to that was, I didn't know the inside sucked so much.
Like, you think it's just incompetence, not malice, but it's usually a mix of both.
It's a lot of malice. Like,
it's a lot of malice. It's like, just, I don't give, the whole system's ruined. I can't change anything. Might as well take a shit on it.
Yeah. I mean, you were military, so at one point.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to fix that system from the inside?
Napalm.
Just because there's napalm inside the military doesn't mean it's going to fix the...
No, you first have to set it on fire, then it fixes things.
Then it fixes things. Is this one of those things of when you have a problem and a Molotov cocktail, when you light the Molotov cocktail, then you have a different problem? This is one of those.
It is one of those. And it seems that's where we're going with, well, the system as of late. Because everyone who's trying to fix the system through accepted means by the system obviously don't work. It's like, let's say we're medieval opponents dueling to the death. Am I going to give you a sharp knife when I don't have another knife?
You're I'm not gonna give me your knife when you don't have a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not how that works.
I'm gonna give you the dullest piece of thing that's basically a twig and leave myself with the big broadsword and a shield, and I'm gonna be like, it's a fair fight.
Incidentally, children, this is voting.
Not just voting, but a lot of things. Because let's say you go and it's like, I'm gonna be a proud Democrat, Republican. It doesn't really matter which one you are. You still can't change much because everyone else is corrupted against you. And like we said, in order to get enough of anything, let's say in this case votes,
Yes.
you have to be doing worse things than your competitors.
Yes. Or you have to be willing to do something that I think is just the vilest possible, which is to stand back while your competitor does so much evil crap, they piss off society. The Democratic National Convention in the United States are not good people. I don't care if they're your only hope at the moment. I'm going to accept whatever stick I get in the comments for that.
Please roast them. But when you enter a system with good intentions, you become so disillusioned by reality.
Yeah.
It seems justified to, well, get something out of it. It's like, hey, I can't change it, but I can get something.
May
out
as
of
well
it.
benefit from it.
It's like, hey, I ain't changing anything. Might as well join them.
Yeah, but we only have one life to live.
It's like, if I can't change it, might as well get a Lamborghini out of it.
I do like a Lamborghini.
That's how they get you. But another thing that builds justification, which is the crux of this whole issue, is, let's say you live under capitalism, poor as shit family, get taxed for no reason, the cops can't even come help you, and you're like, well, the system's broken. And then your response is, of course, trying to fix it, or you're justified in using the system that used you.
Which is the thing I've heard a lot of Lithuanians express about how things were in the 90s and during the Soviet era, like why things were so intensely criminal.
Yeah, they were.
But then also, like, Lithuania, seemingly, went to a lot of trouble to get away from that, and things are much better now. Like, you know, and I mean, I know a lot of Lithuanians who will say, well, they're not that much better. But I'm like, I'm from the United States. I've watched the opposite happen. Things are a lot better now.
They are a lot better. So, furthermore, we know that capitalism creates oppression and victims. And in this way, anyone who's, moral enough can't fight back.
Yeah.
Without becoming evil themselves and part of the system. And they're justified in using the system for their own gain. And so the system lives on.
Yeah.
So changing the system through legal means isn't going to work when the system gives you a stick to fight a dragon. It says, hey, voting.
It gives you voting. I mean, that's the only thing it gives you. And frequently it doesn't give you good voting. Like, it gives you
the American style?
The American style voting. Like, we know that first past the post voting, because we've done millions of simulations on this, produces corrupted results. And we have like 5 other versions of voting that produce more accurate results, and yet we're still using that one 200 years later. And other countries are still using that for reasons. It blows my mind that that's what we use. And also, we're like still running candidates out to get in front of cameras and show us their charisma. Which
is the least thing that matters.
Yeah, that's like the worst metric for how good a leader is going to be, is how charismatic they are.
It's like, you can be as charismatic as you want, but if you don't have morals, you're going to use that charisma for evil.
For anything! I mean, it's shocks me, and I freely admit, I don't understand what a lot of people see in the charismatic leaders. They look clownish to me, but they sure enough can convince some democracies to let them do bad things after they get voted in.
Yep. And that's the issue, because we have like so much evil things happening. Nestle murders 1 million indirectly. CEO still alive. Can't murder them. Illegal.
Yeah, and also not able to be held directly legally liable for a whole bunch of the stuff they did.
Trump starts a war. Still can't kill him. Illegal.
Not even allowed to say somebody should kill the president. Incidentally, that was not me saying somebody should kill the president. Don't kill the president of the United States.
Please. Back in the old days, if a town had, the local village criminal,
The local cow rustler.
yeah, cow rustler, whatever you want to call them, any equivalent to insert rich person's name here.
Insert Epstein class here.
Exactly.
If they had an evil local lord,
Yeah. Eventually, you would find them on the news.
there would come a point where they'd push the population hard enough that rebellion was going to happen.
And like not even rebellion, it's just like you did something bad, no one punished you for it, okay, we're gonna do it.
We're going to do it at some point.
And that was like a way of self-managing itself, the community. But now we don't have community. Now we have 1 million people in a city, and they're all strangers,
Yeah.
and no one believes in the system.
I mean, the system has demonstrated it's not capable of regulating itself.
Not as it's supposed to. It's regulating itself to stay alive.
Yes. Although, I don't know that the U.S. system is staying alive right now. I think it's dying.
As long as the rich are still rich.
All right, so I'm going to ask, if we're acknowledging that these systems are evil and that there is a whole logistical network behind evil, when we're starting to build our own communities and our own institutions outside of these evil systems,
Which is the cure.
it is the cure. What's our first step? How do we create systems to both hold those who make decisions accountable and also make sure that we're provided for?
So you're asking me how to start a country, basically.
Yeah. Whoa. I didn't really contemplate. I had this whole great question here, and it didn't occur to me that was actually what I was asking. What do you need to start a community that
Evolves into a country.
mirrors a country and yet doesn't have the plagues that we're currently stuck in? How do you create a community that will actually provide for people versus the ones we're currently having to live inside of, or alternatively escape from?
So we're gonna have to try to look and do the opposite of what, the current system is doing.
Right. Which is focusing all the resources down to a tiny, tiny, tiny number of people, and then everybody else starves.
So values.
Values.
We need shared values, and not just like, oh yeah, I believe whatever you want, just give me money.
Yeah. Because that one's such an easy thing. Like, it's such low-hanging fruit.
I love America. I love Christianity. Now make me president.
Oh. I hate that that's worked multiple times.
Every single time.
Mm-hmm. So shared values.
Between people, which is the second thing.
Shared values. People.
Yeah, who believe in those values.
Okay. What would be the
last one would be resources of a lot of resources from different ones.
So it would be like an economy.
You could say an economy, you could say work, you could say effort, you could say even conviction to, hold their own against, the bullshit system we're in right now.
Because the bullshit system, it is going to try to stomp on you. Make no mistake.
Like, yeah, they're gonna see you as like, I can make you slaves.
Yeah. Keep in mind, if you are creating your own system outside of these systems, the institutions of slavery are going to see you as a threat.
I mean, maybe a tiny threat at first, but eventually, if you actually do what you're supposed to, you'll be a bigger threat then.
Considerably.
So that's why, historically, when a country was unable to provide for their citizens, militias formed. Because they knew that, hey, if we're going to try to do what you did incorrectly, you're going to try to stop us because the countries outside see you as weak and unable to take care of your citizens. If we also attack you from the inside for being an asshole, basically, you're going to be like, well, if I attack another country, that's a war. But this is a rebellion. I can manage a rebellion.
Manage a rebellion.
So they will inevitably turn to violence and say, well, you're rebels. You're like causing chaos. I can murder you. It's okay.
And a lot of large countries will use the fact that someone is not participating in the systems of their own oppression as an excuse to tell the population at large, oh, look, we've got terrorists. Better stop paying attention to the Epstein files.
Right. The Epstein files. It's like, we can't release the Epstein files because it's going to destabilize the entire country.
The entire planet. Well,
is... America's going to be the entire planet.
Well, yeah, it's just, that's the thing that I hear a lot is that America thinks it's the whole world. You have 5% of the population. Stop shitting in everyone else's lunch.
But yes, as we were talking about before, we do need ways to resist being stomped for doing the right thing.
So your community is definitely...
They're going to need to be able and willing to resist.
And stand behind you when you perform acts of resistance.
Yeah, which they will say it's legal because, of course, they control what's legal and what's not.
They create the laws.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the protests in London when you said, I'm against genocide. Off to jail with you.
Gulag, 10,000 years.
And it's like, you're a granny, the jail. You're Greta Thunberg, the jail. Your baby's 2 months old.
Jail.
Can we make a new jail for that one? Yeah? Okay, good. Baby jail. We're taking you and your baby to jail.
And the baby. We get both of them.
It's like, you ask the baby, are you against genocide? It's like, jail.
Jail.
And that's wonderful. But I see so many Londoners complaining about the drug issues, the gangs that just apparently are operating out in public, and the police is like, nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. It's almost like the economic problems and social problems in the UK are being intentionally ignored, so old people keep voting for the people who say, we'll get rid of the drug problems. We're coming to the end this week, and of all things, my compatriot here has a poem for us that I'm thinking it might be a little angry.
It's just a tiny angry, but I wrote it in 2025, actually.
So this is the last year poem.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not going to do a plug this week outside of our usual Healthy Hearts and Guillotines Patreon. You can find us on, obviously, YouTube, and we're on any place your podcasts are found. Please go ahead, Zakim.
Thank you. So this one's called Blood Vampires, Actions Warranting Arrest. Blessed to be this obsessed. Who would have guessed what we needed wasn't a blood test, but a way to feel expressed, even if we look possessed. For this moment, no longer stressed. What matters is this pounding in our chest, not the camera or the screen test. The beat filling us with zest, bodies mingling, lips no longer repressed, bound to be underdressed. This exhaustion is us at our best. It's in our best self-interest. Raving is our counter-protest to the issues which remain unaddressed. Our cure to being depressed, even if we have to abandon our life vest. These vampires, a critical pest, actions warranting arrest, unable to exist at rest. We live for that night, I have confessed.
That's intense.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us this week. And we'll be here again next week. If anyone's got any suggestions for what the background should be, obviously we're doing this against a green screen. So I'd love to hear that. And
tell us if you like it. Tell us if you want the old one back.
Yeah, please. We'll have a poll down in the comments. And just to remind everybody,
your health is in your hands.